Welcome to another edition of the Garden Angels of Justice and Peace with your host, Pearl Polto and
Josie Brandon.
We have seminars. You can go to our website. We have great shows every week. You can actually listen to and watch all the shows. We hope to have a topic. And if we don't have your topic, email us. Email us and let us know what topic you want us to discuss when it comes to this.
On the TV show, we have our topics for the seminar.
Yes. Well, you can explain that. Explain that.
Well, you just said we have, if there's a viewer out there for our television program and they want to actually have a topic discussed, definitely send us for the email. But when we attend these seminars, we already have the topics, and they're the hottest topics. They're the topics that you want to be learning about and being able to create a life for yourself that's going to turn your situation around. If you're dealing with credit situations or a divorce or a loss of any kind, we're going to get yourself back. We're going to give you information that's going to empower you at those seminars.
Well, Josie, what's the topic today?
Well, we talk a lot about, the divorce and the court system and stuff like that. But we're going to talk today about child support and what's happening in the country with regards to child support. And then we're going to talk about how to empower your life if you're a parent who's dealing with non-payment of child support.
Okay. Well, if somebody's dealing with non-payment of child support, they're done.
What do you mean by they're done?
Well, if they don't have a job, and because of the job situations, what happens there? Or people on welfare can't get child support. Am I right or no?
Well, as far as people on welfare, I don't know about them not being able to get child support. And basically, with Divorce Support Network, we're dealing with parents who have had to go on welfare because they couldn't get child support or they didn't get paid child support from the parent. But really what's happening right now in the industry or in the divorce and the situations with child support is there are a lot of parents not paying child support. And so what happens is it automatically puts these parents in a situation of financial devastation. And they're saying that oftentimes 70%, in fact, 70% of women who are not getting paid child support after divorce actually will go into a poverty type situation in their financial status.
I know years ago, if you had child support and you won the child support and the courts gave you an amount, it was sometimes the spouse didn't pay. And the reason why they didn't pay is because they forced you to go back to the court to fight it. But at the time as you're going back to the court, you still weren't getting paid. So they made it so annoying. And then they if you went back to the court, they would finally start paying you because it was a court decision, and they would pay you one, and then they would start the roll all over again. They would make you go back to the court where the wife would get so disgusted, she would just say, I can't take this no more. I'm giving up child support. Have you heard about this?
Yes, it does. It does happen. And actually that's a technique that's a technique that some use to exhaust the parent from actually continuing their fight for child support. The message really is that the message here that I want to advise for everybody is that if you've been granted child support, don't get comfortable, because if the child support stops coming, you still have your family to take care of. You have your children to take care of. So the message really for today's show is that even though you've been granted child support and you hope that the parent takes an active role in paying that child support, don't get comfortable, because the litigation process of trying to get the parent to finally pay can take years. And sometimes it can take on more than, sometimes I know some parents that have not gotten paid. They've gotten over, there's over $69,000, $100,000 in unpaid child support for years and years and years of not paid child support. And sometimes you see people that are just, devastated by the whole experience.
Well, I'm going to stop you there, because the good news of this is there's only two things. It's child support and the IRS. If let's say a husband or wife has the child support and that goes on the credit report, right? They have the right. It's only the two. It's the student loans, it's the child support, and it's the IRS. They have the right to go into your bank account. They have the right to freeze your account. And in certain states, it's exempt where they can't freeze it, but they're allowed under the child support if they owed especially $69,000. So what are these people? There's loopholes, and we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that this is the biggest thing is that, yes, there are certain ways where they can go. I'm going to tell you what happens. I'm going to tell you about what happened actually in the state of Wisconsin that I personally understand and seen for myself firsthand of what occurred. Is that there's certain, first of all, every state is going to be a little bit different with how they handle child support. There's going to be the certain ways within the court system of how they handle the child support as well. For instance, in the city of Milwaukee, the child support services that actually funds and carries all this can do a lot of things on their own. While the city of Waukesha, another city, you have to go through an attorney to be able to conduct certain things for child support. So the biggest message that I would say is you have to be actively involved with knowing the law, and don't rely only on your attorney, because there are many attorneys who are not actively aware. Even though they carry the word divorce in front of their name, a divorce attorney, there are many attorneys that are not doing their job and not doing it appropriately to defend your rights as a parent, to make sure you get
those. Tell us about that. What are you talking about with there?
Well, I think there's attorneys out there that just get complacent. They're not taking it. You're just another case. You think, you see yourself as a person, your first and last name, and you see yourself as a soul and what's happening here. You have a child and you think, it matters. But in reality, unfortunately, there are many attorneys out there. You're just another file number. You're walking into the office, they're greeting you, they're saying hello, and that you think you have they're here to protect you. But in reality, some of these attorneys are not doing their job. You're just another file. They'll wait for they'll get to the court and ask you questions, 10 minutes before you get into the courtroom, with regards to, certain matters with regards to your case. So you have to be an active participant in your rights as a parent, as a mother or father, to make sure you defend those rights. And you need to go online and research some of the laws out there, and don't be afraid to ask questions to your attorney if you're in a situation.
And there's another thing with child support, when it comes to the credit laws with it. No apartment or no even a credit card company can turn you away or deny you because you write down that your funds are coming from child support. So that's important for a woman. It's called Woman and Credit Rights. When it comes to child support, no credit card company can turn you down. And if they did turn you down, you have the right to report them. You have the right to write back to them to say, I want this account, because especially if you have good credit. But you have the right, even with an apartment building that somebody's trying to hire you, or you're going for an apartment application and they're saying child support. Well, where do you work at? They have to take the child support because that's the law as well. So always remember that. And that's Woman and Credit Rights, just for their knowledge.
That's fantastic information for people out there that are looking at that. And then the biggest thing also is that my experience has been is sometimes when situations like this happen, when you start seeing that the system is slow. One of the attorneys I know one time said, well, the system may move slow, but the system still moves. And I said, well, that's a great analogy, but if it moves like molasses and the parent or the mother's lost everything, or the father's lost everything, or the child now has to live in certain situations where they're not in the safest, or whatever the situation might be, the system moving slow is not a good enough excuse for me personally. And second of all, it needs to run more efficiently if we're having issues of it. If the system is so so filled up with cases, we need to do something about it. So does that mean we need more judges? Does that mean we need more courtrooms? I mean, why are we waiting for it to be so congested and waiting for all this devastation to occur before we start taking action?
Okay, I'm going to go to another thing with child support, the court system, as you just named. This is also going to be interesting because in my field and seeing all this happening, so many connivers out there, so much. But anyway, when you go to a court and the wife takes the husband, let's say, for child support, and what happens is they're in a courtroom and they have to show the judge what they're making, what to pay them. And they're going to make believe papers. I think you're aware of it. Many of you out there are aware of it, that the spouse is doing so. And the judge can't say nothing. He can't do anything because, you're in his courtroom. So somebody's appearing there in their courtroom, and let's say you have to pay them $100 a week, whatever. And they say, I can't afford it. I can only afford, the judge would say, well, how much can you afford? Only 30. I'm only making 25, whatever. And so it's stamped. Now it's up to your attorney to check this out. It's up to your attorney to do some homework. And if the attorney has so many cases, as Josie said, they don't care. But the biggest gimmick, I'm going to say scam, it's going on in the courtrooms, is everybody's coming up with false documentations in front of that judge. And the judge don't know. He can't put his ravel down, and they're getting away with it. And people that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars are only claiming they're making $20,000. And then what happens is the wife and the child gets the false advertisement unless she brings it back to court. And then there's so many things you could do to manipulate the system.
Yes, and there's so many things you should do to make sure the system does not manipulate you, which is take a proactive role. I mean, if if your spouse is in a specific industry, a profession, have some experts come to the courthouse and talk about what the average salary is for that particular profession. Let them come on. I mean, if you're having someone who typically makes, just say, a certain amount of dollars, and they're coming to court saying they're only making this much, and there's not that much in the job market and things of that nature, that's your time to go to your attorney and say, we need to hire someone in the workforce that understands this industry, that can bring them on the stand and say, this is really what's happening. These are really the opportunities that are out here. This is really the opportunity of what they can make financially, what kind of hours and things that are available to them, because otherwise you're just allowing it to be one person against the other. You don't have any experts on board. So you want to make sure your attorney is taking the initiative to do that and to bring people on board that are going to show what the potential is to make within those earnings. The second thing also I'm going to say is that let your attorney know that you're aware of the laws. I found attorneys that honestly, I look back on some of the documentation that I've received throughout the years, and it's amazing to me about how many things are overlooked or just are not addressed because the attorneys are just not looking deeper into those divorce decrees or looking deeper into some of the law structures that are out there, because they just don't do it. And that's the most frustrating for me, is you're going to a professional to do his job, to do it, and you have to be on top of that professional, but you do have to be on top of it. Do not leave it only in the attorney's hands. And sometimes an attorney will say, it's my job to do what I need to do. Let me do it the way I need to do it. Be careful, because sometimes you may have caught that attorney not doing his job, and he's just trying to make it look like, he's the one in charge, when in reality, you're hiring him. He is your attorney. You've hired him to do the work that's necessary for you.
And you can fire your attorney.
Yes, you can fire your attorney. In fact, we should probably talk a little bit about that, because most people are afraid to fire their attorney.
Yes,
because
it's a little trick. What the attorneys do. Let's say they don't like your case, or they don't like you. And what they'll do is they'll do everything in their power. They can't say to you, I don't want you as a client, after they took you on as a client. But what they can do is get you so frustrated where, you see, if they closed your case because you were nasty to them, they could be reported, and they know it. And so what's happening is you can reverse it. And if you don't like what they're doing, sometimes they want you to fire them, to go to someone else, because then they could address it to the courts by saying, they fired me. So don't make it so easy on them either. What you have to do, I'm going to suggest, make it tough on them. Make it tough on your attorney. As Josie said, you hired them. You're paying these people to work for you. Even though they got the title Esquire in back of them, you're paying these people. So when they go to a courthouse and you're not satisfied, you have the right to say to them, how come you didn't fight for me here? How come you didn't fight for me there? No matter what he says. If he says, I'm the attorney, you're not, well, I'm the client, you are not. I can hire somebody else, but I won't, because I hired you. Now, and then you let him know your rights, and let him know some magic words at times, so he sees you did your homework. And sometimes you can get the best or the worst attorney to do the best job, hate to say it, just by letting them know you know your rights too under the law.
Absolutely. And then some of the things that people ask me sometimes is, it says, like, what happens if you owe child support? How is it that they can actually attain those monies from you? These are some ways they can do it. You can garnish his or her pay. They'll go to the work. The state will go to where they're working at and garnish their pay. They can intercept any type of unemployment. If the person's getting unemployment, they can intercept with that. They can also go to their tax returns. If they're getting money back from their tax returns, those monies could be due to you. So these are things that you need to be aware of, to ask your attorney. Go to the attorney and say, did we do this? Have we filed for these? Have we let the state know, or the federal? Even though they may already know, let the attorney know you're on top of it, because there are some attorneys who are not doing this, and that's why you see these things online with regards to deadbeat parents. And the word itself, deadbeat, just so we're clarified on that, deadbeat itself is a legal term in the jurisdiction area. It defines a parent who is willfully not paying child support. That is what a deadbeat parent is. They're willfully not paying child support. So, and there's parents out there, if you go online and you look it up, there's parents that have all kinds of dollars from thousands of $1,000 to $100,000 and over of unpaid child support. And you wonder, what is happening? Why is this happening with our system?
And they also can freeze your bank account. They can freeze if they hired, let's say somebody hired a bank account. Garnishing the payment is the worst if they garnish your pay. But how can you now see there's loopholes again, people, there's loopholes, and the loopholes are here's what a person can do. If they garnish your account, everything that Josie just said, the loophole is file bankruptcy. And if you file bankruptcy, they got away with it. They got away with it where they don't have to, they can even fight that. It'll be on your credit report. What can they do? Nothing. You filed bankruptcy, then you're unreleasing it. They could put it under the bankruptcy, let's say a Chapter 13, and this is what happens. You released everything.
Some states, bankruptcy is not exempt you from any child support.
Child support or the state, the tax or the IRS.
Yes.
In certain states. So
yes.
Depending on your state,
yes.
You were so right. But the majority of the states, there's only a few, I'd say maybe a handful of states that this is happening to. Majority of the states, yes, they're allowed to do things like this if they file, because states are lenient. States are the Commonwealth, especially the Commonwealth states. Different states have different laws, and people think like, all this is under one law. It's not. All these laws, if you check your federal law and you check your state law. Now, how you can do that, I mean, you can contact us as well. I'll let you know if your state is exempt or not exempt, and then what to do in the case that something would happen, or direct you to the right attorney, to direct you to the right laws, or I will direct you. Being a paralegal myself, and I know what the laws are when it comes to this, what you can do, what you can't do, the loopholes are, and what you can do to take advantage of it.
But here's what I'm going to say for a parent out there. And again, I'm speaking from experience. So I'm telling you basically based on what I feel that I've seen, again, working with tons, all these different people involved in the divorce support network, and just myself through the years of seeing things and experiencing things, is that when you're going through this issue of going through divorce support and trying to acquire funds because the parent is deciding for whatever reason they're not going to participate in paying child support, even though the law says they need to, and you're seeing the justice system move like molasses or not move at all, my response is to get up and work anyway, and to not, there's a point in time when you're either focusing so much on all this energy and all this time is going to the courthouse, going to doing all these different things, and that's a tactic they use. Sometimes that's exactly what they want. They want you to get tired. But there's a point in time where you have to balance that and say, you know what, I am going to fight for my rights. I'm going to make sure I work this in to make sure I'm accomplishing these specific goals as far as what I know is legally, that is the responsibility of that parent. But I'm not going to stop living or stop working. In fact, my honest, straightforward response to you is get up and work and do what you need to do, and let your child know that you're a responsible parent. You're not looking for government to take care of you. You're not looking for the child support. You're going to take care of yourself. You're going to do what it takes and make it happen. And that's the attitude that I think really has to be out there, and the reason why I'm telling you this, let me tell you something. The reason why I'm telling you this is I don't want to see you in a shelter, because oftentimes what happens is you wait for the government to do the work. Before you know it, you're on welfare and you're living in shelter, or you're dealing with a situation that's traumatic. And what I'm saying is don't wait for that moment. Get up and do something about it now, and it'll be a gift to your soul. It'll be a gift to your family, a gift to your children that you're taking the initiative.
Powerful words. When we come back, we're going to take a short commercial. When we come back, we're going to discuss this child support and your rights under the law. I am so depressed. I lost my job. The bill collectors are harassing me. I have no idea what I'm going to do anymore.
Oh my goodness. You have got to stop being so negative.
So negative?
Yes, you're negative. You don't even realize that you're being negative. Do you know that every time you come in here, I always hear you say something negative? Do you know that that's actually preventing you from accomplishing your goals?
So what am I supposed to do?
You know what I think we need to do? We need to start activating some positive change.
What is this?
Activating positive change. You see, you've been saying things on a constant basis without realizing it, and we're going to start catching you. Every time I hear you say something negative, you're going to have to put $1 in our Activate Positive Change Bank.
So I'm going to make somebody rich.
You're going to make yourself rich, because every time you say something negative, you're going to realize it. You're going to put $1 in here, and we're going to activate some positivity. You're going to start learning and catching yourself saying something negative.
So you're forcing me into talking positive.
Well, I'm not forcing you. You're actually acknowledging it, and you're making the decision to do something about it.
Thank you.
So now, how do you go about getting one of these?
How do I get one of them?
You just have to call 1-800-326-4550 because we know someone at home is negative, and if you want to go ahead and activate some positive change, you definitely want to order one of these.
I'm calling up right now. Thank you.
There's nothing more disruptive and annoying than getting an automated call to your cell phone. There are laws against companies using computers or recorded messages to call you on your cell phone without your permission. This is consumer protection attorney Carrie Flitter. You've heard me as a guest on the Pearl Polto Show. There are consumer laws in place that prohibit many of the unwanted calls to your cell phone. If you're receiving unwanted or unauthorized calls, whether collection, selling products or services, or otherwise, you may be entitled to have these calls stopped and to collect money damages that the law provides. If you're getting unwanted or pre-recorded calls to your cell phone, contact us, the Consumer Protection Lawyers at Flitter Lorenz, at 888-668-1225. That's 888-668-1225, or online at consumerslaw.com. That's consumers with an S, consumerslaw.com. If we accept your case, the bad guys pay our bill.
Hi, I'm Pearl Polto, America's top credit expert.
And I'm Josie Brandon from Guardian Angels of Justice and Peace. We are the Guardian Angels Dream Team coming to your city. If you're someone with a low credit score or someone who's just suffered from divorce or a change of any kind, it could be a job loss, a business change, you definitely want to be coming to one of our workshops. We're going to be talking about how you can raise your credit score in less than 30 days. We're going to have workshops that are going to design to get you to get your life back in order, and you're going to figure out how you can prosper from the destiny that you deserve to have. If you'd like to attend one of our seminars, call 1-800-326-4550. That's 1-800-326-4550.
Welcome back to the Guardian Angels of Justice and Peace with your host, Pearl Polto, and
Josie Brandon. I love how you do that. You always give me the look.
the look. We're talking about today another serious topic on child support and the many women that are out there. And we know what you're going through, when it comes to child support, and we're giving you solutions. Well, we're going to try to give you the solutions now as much as possible. We're telling you what the court system is doing, what the attorneys are doing, how to correct with the attorneys, how to stay on top of your attorneys. But do you want to still live on child support? And I know a lot of women don't even accept child support. Have you ever heard? I know women myself that will not accept child support because they're saying, I don't want to go through the aggravation. I'm self-dependent. And I was one of those women. That I signed the paper that I didn't want child support because I didn't want to go back and forth to the courts of the fighting and putting, my child through it. So what I did was I said, no, I'm going to go out and get a job. I'll support her myself, and that's it. And he made me sign papers that I wouldn't have to pay the child support, but that was okay. Many of you out there are doing that too. Have you heard of that?
There are some women that do that, and it depends on their situation. I mean, it depends if you have family. Some people don't. Some people have family where they can rely on maybe a grandmother or grandfather to help, watch the child while they're going to work. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios which would allow someone to do different things with that situation. And then there's just other situations where that parent is still obligated to take care of the child support regardless, and they're just not doing it. So you're going to have to take the initiative to go out there and work anyway. I mean, one of the things that I have to tell you is the greatest gift you can give yourself is to push yourself when you're uncomfortable. Because when I mean by push yourself, that means do things, go out there and apply for that position that you might think is a little bit beyond your reach, or go to school or do something a little bit different. Push yourself in a direction, because God does have a plan and a purpose. And even though you might think in that moment, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Go and find the resources. In fact, I think most court systems around the country do offer a place where you can go, where you can talk to somebody, where they can help you lead, like a job center. That states have job centers and things of that nature where you can go put in your resume and things of that nature. If you don't know how to do a resume, they'll help you put a resume together. There's a lot of things that are available to you that are actually even free out there to take that first step to go out there so you can start working, help support your child so you're not waiting for that check to come in. And so at least you can put some food on the table and take care of your children, clothes and things of that nature, and shelter, whatever. There's ways you can do that.
I've also heard of the people that wanted to eliminate child support. And that only goes so far, though. If you have a communication with your spouse before you get to the court system, many of them, the husband and wives, are in agreement of how much they're paying their wives every 2 weeks or every week or whatever, with minusing the court. Have you heard of that too?
Yes, there's mediations, and that's like the dream way of living. I mean, if you could have everybody go to a mediator, not go to court, keep it simple, agree to certain terms and things of that nature. Yes, there definitely are mediators out there. In fact, we encourage that. We encourage mediation, which is where you don't have to go to court. But there are situations where people have gone to mediators and the agreements have been made, and then the agreements are not followed. And so what you thought was, you'd expedite it, there's another delay. So now you got to go back to court and go through the process again. So sometimes it's, it depends on the situation, who you're dealing with, who the other parent is. Are they a cooperative parent, or are they a parent that always seems to put up an argument, or, just refuse to cooperate in every level? Then there's different measures by which to take, how you're going to handle it within the court system.
Couldn't this be a game? A game with the court system? And I know it works, and I know it happens. A game with the court system is the husband doesn't want to pay the child support. So 3 weeks, a month, the wife goes to the court, hires an attorney, has to put the money out. And this is what's going on. And this is, so then all of a sudden she goes to court. You get so much. And he mails out one check. And after the one check, he stops.
Yes.
And he says, I'm not working, so you can't take it out of my account because I'm not working. And many guys will quit their jobs so they don't have to pay child support as well. Now, they go home, and after they go home, she has to do it again. They have to go back to the attorney to say, bring them to court again. Now, this is happening how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times? Eventually, isn't this the game where the court should see this, that the husband is doing this on purpose to stop the wife from going to collect child support?
Yes.
It's a game of the courthouse.
You and I both know the answer is yes, it is a game.
Well, we know it, but they don't know it.
They don't know. But what I'm saying is that you and I both know, yes, it is a game, and yes, it's designed to exhaust the parent to go back and forth to court. It's designed to give you to give up on your rights and things of that nature. But the system, the system's not, they're not keeping tabs on how many times you go back in the court. If you think the system, they're not. You're just another date on the calendar for them to get back into the court system. And we can talk about different things happening in the court system itself, different judges, change of judges. You have to tell the story all over again. Some people, sometimes you don't get the same judge. I mean, there's a lot of variables that keep dragging on the whole situation. You ask yourself, you put your hands up in the air and you say, is this worth going through? And it depends on your situation. For some of you it is, for some of you it's not. And that's just a personal choice. But the bottom line is you need to go out there and work regardless and make it happen. You need to find a way to make it happen. And unfortunately, the court system is during the week. They're going to give you a date in the schedule. How many times can you ask for your employer how many days off? I need to come back. I need to go back to the day and this day again to go to court. I mean, there's issues with regards to that too. So sometimes people give up because it's just constantly interruptive with their work schedule.
Well, let me give you some bad news though, and then some good news. The child support also is on your credit report. It is on your credit report. That's the bad news. So if you owe $10,000 or $100,000, it will say the city of whatever city you're in, and it'll say the child support. The good news is it can be deleted because the court system, as you said, is so backed up. And when the credit bureaus dispute it with the court system,
what
and the court system,
what can be deleted?
The whole child support on
off
the
your
credit
credit
report,
bureau?
off the credit report.
So therefore, even though you put it on the credit report to show it, it can eventually still be deleted off of it, and then therefore they're really not being monitored with their credit score is not really being monitored like it should.
Exactly.
Wow. So the system really, it's like you have the system. The system's designed to protect, but on the credit score, and then the system also is designed to get it removed off this credit score. So it's really not helping.
You're right. It goes back and forth. They're going to put it on your score so everybody sees it, and then at the same breath, you get people like me to dispute it, to remove it. And here's the reason I'm back of that. The court system is just like anything else. The court system is so backed up that the court system is not responding to anyone. We know that. That's why they're so backed up. So they're not going to respond back to the credit bureaus. But the little states, if the court system, and especially the court system, how many I see with tickets on there? They got this ticket, that ticket, this ticket, and the tickets add up and add up. But if the court system does not respond back to that credit bureau, guess what? It's removed. So then it's not that you don't owe the money now. I always say the loophole is it's not that you don't owe the money. It's that other creditors are not seeing it. They're
So one of the things you could do to let's say you're a parent who wants to make sure that this information is on the credit report, you can always pull. Can you pull someone else's credit report?
no.
You can't pull their credit report.
No, but you can. Now, here's what you can do.
Yes.
If somebody, let's say it's removed from a credit report, you have the right to write to the credit bureau. Let's say your husband.
But how do you know it's been removed?
No, well, you'll know it's been removed if somebody pulled up your credit. If you pulled up your own credit, you get a free credit report once a year.
Yeah, but you're saying you can't do a credit report on the other person.
No, on the other person, you're not allowed to.
Okay, so let's say your attorney says, "Don't worry, it's going to affect him. It's going to go on his credit report."
Right.
And then he goes or she goes and gets it, let's say, removed from their credit report. Now, you're thinking that it's still there, but it's not.
It's not.
Okay, it's not there, so therefore really not protecting you. Because the only reason why the attorney is telling you that it's going to be on their credit report is to help you to let you know that eventually he's going to be encouraged to want to pay something because he won't be able to get a loan because his credit score is going to be reduced.
Can't get credit. Now, let me tell you the loophole, though. Let me tell you the loophole
Okay.
to your advantage. This is the solution and the loophole to that. First of all, if somebody, like myself, removed it, I'm not the bad guy now, but if somebody did remove it from your credit report, you have the right to write to the credit bureaus under the comments and to say, so-and-so, mention his name, you're allowed, or the court is under a child support of $50,000, $60,000, and I have not collected it. You have that right to still put it on the credit report. So, which is showing everybody he still owes. Your husband still owes. But if you don't want anybody to see it, the loophole is it will be deleted. Now, the husband obviously don't want anybody to see it, so he wants it deleted. The wife, on the other hand, if she sees it, now she's not allowed to pull the husband's report, but if she does see it and she sees it's gone, you have the right with a comment to the credit bureau to put as a statement on that report.
That's if she sees it or he sees it, one or the other, whoever is doing this, and they don't tend to follow up to see if they're doing it. They're just saying, they just assume it's on the credit report. And I'm surprised that the system is actually allowing that to happen because it's really not helping. It's actually part of the problem then to identify this is part of the problem, because if we're removing that from their credit history, the child support that's due, then we're not keeping on top of making sure certain things are being done to avoid these issues that are happening in the court system.
Duh. What part of this picture don't you understand?
Yes.
We were in a situation where it goes into a circle, everybody's hurting, but who's hurting? It's the people. The woman, I'm going to say it's the woman that's hurting because you're not collecting.
It's the woman or the man. There's some men that collect child support.
It's not
as well.
that many. It's not that many on the verses.
But we have to make sure we're not gender specific.
Yes, we're not general. We're not general.
The fact is that there's both men or women in the situation. But the bottom line is, going back to that question is, when I said that it's not helping us in any direction. So whether it goes on the credit report, what you're saying to me is that it can be deleted. And
yes.
So really, when an attorney says to you, "Oh, it'll be on their credit report," don't think of it as being a good thing or a bad thing, because it means nothing, because eventually it can be removed off the credit report.
It can be. And under law, it's not that it's removed illegally. It's removed under law because you know the credit law. So anything is possible with that, especially if you know your credit rights, though. But child support is so vague, so vague. If you go back years and the people that were paying on child support and the garnishments and everything else, the system hasn't changed. It hasn't changed because you could foul up the system. Your husband can make $100,000 and say he's only making $15,000, and he could show it to the judge to say I can only pay $50. There was a little story, and I'm gonna say this story. It's a personal story. When I went for child support, I didn't want it at the end because I was one of those people that had to go back and forth, and I thought it's not worth it. I'd rather just work. But when the judges take this into consideration, they really do, and I never forgot it. Never forgot that courtroom scene, because here I am trying to go for child support, and at the same time, he's saying to the judge, "Well, I can only afford 25. I can only afford 25 a week, Your Honor, because I have all these bills." And here I am saying, well, I want 50 because I have to support somebody. So in the meantime, it was the judge that said, well, you know what? I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to give her 50 and give you and let her take the 50, because if you can afford one person, she has to support two. So, and I was a little bit amazed with the court then, because judges do understand and they do take the sides of the right of the people if you have a right judge. Judges are elected. Judges are elected. You're the one who puts them in office. So if you see that there's a judge that's really looking deeply into this case, you know you got a right judge. You know you got a court system. But then it could go in circles. As I said, I won, but at the same time, he thought, well, I'm not going to pay. Let her go back to court again and again. And then you get so tired where you say, you know what? Don't want to do it no more. I'll rather work.
You know what? That's true. But you first of all, you have to work anyway. That's the bottom line. Don't rely on it. That's the biggest message. Don't think the child support is your ticket to not working. You need to still work. You know, you guys were married. That was his obligation to help support the child. That's what it goes. You still need to go ahead and work. We're not saying don't work. You must work. But the bottom line is that don't give up your rights either, is because that's exactly why. You know, right. The message isn't, oh, you know, forget about it, don't do it. No, the message is you were given these laws to protect you, just like we have credit laws to protect us. We were given these laws to protect us as parents, and it is your obligation to make sure you do what you can within your means to follow through on protecting yourself within those rights.
So what I did was wrong. What I did was wrong. What I should have done, in your eyes, is to continue fight for my rights.
Well, you know, I don't want to tell you what I think is right for you. Every person is different, but I have a challenge being, you know, it would be hard for me to be removing a child support from a credit report, knowing that I am impacting the potential future of a child. You know what I mean? For me, that's my personal thing. Like I went to go out at a credit report and know that I'm removing child support when I know that there is a living soul that is being directly affected by these monies. Like that to me is like that. I know it's the sacred space that we talk about, but you know, everybody has their own situation. By law, you have to do it. It is considered acceptable. So by law, you're following the protocol. But it's almost, you know, a double-edged sword. When you said duh, you know, I'm thinking to myself, no, it's not duh. It's like, wait, there's no duh here. What that means is that the system is counterproductive. It's like you're working so hard to create one result, and at the end, the back end, the result is being pushed back to nothing. So, I mean, this is why we have to have these shows. This is why it's so important that we talk about these subject matters, is because we got one part of the system saying one thing, and then the other part of the system saying another thing, and it just defeats the purpose. Why are we going to court all this time to find out that at the end, they're either trying to exhaust you, or there's a law at the back end that says, oh, he doesn't have to pay.
So shouldn't there be, I mean, somewhere where the courts pick up, and shouldn't there be a law to say you can only go back to court 2 or 3 times before, you know they hold them responsible? Shouldn't there be a law? So the wife don't have to go back and forth, because this is why they tired him out. So shouldn't there be a law? You're only allowed to do this twice? Or I've known cases where the husband would say, fine, I'm going to quit my job. You won't get nothing.
Yes. Well, that's what our job here at Pearl is, to push the laws and enforce new laws. Like, get people to think about some new laws that are out there to protect, so to avoid some of these delays and these, you know, these purposeful, the intent is to delay the process. And there's tactics, and you and I know these different tactics. We've seen it happen in the court systems. And so our job really is to get the information out to the people and hopefully enforce some new laws and some new bills that are going to prevent some of this reoccurring. There's also these things with judges. People don't realize is that the judges rotate. And I'm sure you've heard about rotating judges, where they're in the court system for a certain period of time within that area, and then they can be rotated. So let's say you have a judge who's, let's say in a certain state, it could be 2 years. I don't know what the specific state, you know, but let's say it's 2 years. Maybe you had a case that was there, but was started with one judge, and then 2 years pass before you get back into the court system again, and then you have a new judge, and you got to explain the whole thing all over again, and before you know it, you have 3 other cases going in between your cases, and so you don't finish your case, you got to come back to court. I mean, it's completely chaotic. And when I think about the court system in general, I just don't understand how businesses have to be forced to make some changes for the demand that's in their business. Yet the court systems are still backed up, and nothing's being done within that system to really make it as efficient as possible and to create some lasting change so that we don't have these issues. And it's not just the court system. It's a people problem. It's a court problem. We have to change too. The people have to change to make some better decisions so we don't have to go to court all the time. And there's also just systematic problems there. That's why it has to be a united effort to make some changes.
Well, you're missing a point. You're missing just one point that you said about the court system. Everybody's forgetting. These people are court-appointed people. They're court-appointed judges, which means they're elected in, which means it's you that puts them in office. So if you see that judges or anybody that's in a courtroom, they're court elected. You're electing them in the office. You don't even know it. When you go to the election polls, you're pushing Judge so-and-so, Judge so-and-so. These are the judges that are good. These are the judges that are bad.
Here's the reality of that. How many people really know who they're voting for?
They
in judges?
don't.
They don't know.
They don't.
They don't know. And they have no idea.
They don't.
They have no. Not only do they not know who the judges are, usually they don't know who the judges are, but they don't really take an active role in really knowing who the judges are until they have a reason to go to court. Then they're like, who is the judge and what is his history? That's when you start saying, is this a judge who's going to get serious, down to business, or is this a judge who's known to like move? I've seen cases where there's judges that actually the attorneys have actually said this attorney is known to delay cases. This attorney is known to do this. This judge is known to do this. So, it's amazing. And that's why, people are so busy with their lives. And especially if that things or chaos happening in their household, are they really going to know who's all the judges that are going in the court system that are going to be elected? I mean, yes, they're voting for them, but do they know who they're voting for?
Yeah, no, you're right. But you see, again, we're going back to the old cliche, the people don't do their homework. And if they they had to go to child support. If they heard the judge's name, do your homework, find out who's going to be your judge, and you can do your homework to find out who's going to be their judge. Then, the election polls, when you see, this is that judge's name, do your homework on him. You're allowed to do your homework on him to see, is he a lenient judge for the woman? Is he a lenient judge for the man? And some of them they are. Sometimes they pro, sometimes they con, sometimes they're for the men. Sometimes they're for the woman. You need to know this.
And sometimes they're not for anybody. Sometimes they're really there for the law. There's some, I've seen judges, they're doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Doesn't make a difference if you're a man or a woman. They're looking at the facts and that's it.
The bottom line is they have to do their homework on the judges. It's not just going to a poll and looking at all these people. Do your homework if you have a child support. She's right, though, and I was wrong there. What I did, I was wrong. In other words, I got so disgusted, I said, that's it. I've had it. Let me sign the paper so you don't have to pay me no more, and I'll work. What she said is do your rights under the Child Support Act or the child support you are collecting, and if you have to fight, go and fight. Let them know I'm not, enough's enough. I want this support because I earned it. It's not for me. It's for the child. So I was wrong back then, and I'll admit it. But the thing is, you have to do your homework when it comes to this child support, because who pays the price is not just the child again, but it's also the mother or the father, depending. But it's also the mother too, because you have to support. You have to support two people. And sometimes
it's the child, the bottom. Yes, it is the mother, but it's ultimately the child who pays the biggest price, because they're in the middle of all this drama of the financial aspects, and all they want to do is be a kid. They want to go outside and play. They want to have, regular meals. They want to just enjoy simple things in life. And you have parents going back and forth over these child support issues, which should have been clearly specified. It was already decided in court. So why is it taking so long to rectify these issues? It was already decided through certain trials or whatever that people go through to get to that point, to make that decision. Why is it taking so long? I mean, at some point in time, like you said, there has to be something done that imposes a certain time frame that says this issue has gone too far. It has to be resolved by this period. Done.
That's the normal way.
Yes.
Can we make this the normal way? By asking questions, by helping the people, by doing what they're doing? Can we make this the way where people can listen to us?
I say yes.
Okay. Well, you know what we need? Then we need your help. We're going to sit down and look at these. We're going to take a look at all these options of what's going right in this country and what's going wrong in these cities. And you got to remember now, each city's different, city to city, but there's right and there's wrong. And we have to take a good look at, I think the people do too, but we do. We have to take, because we're for the justice and the peace, and and we have to take a good look at what's going right and wrong with the court systems. We already know what's going wrong with the court systems. It's the people that they're hiring. But we have to say, how can we correct it? Well, very easy. You sit down and you write to your congressman. You sit down and you write to your senator. And eventually they're going to know your name. And after they know your name, they're going to say, well, this name stands out. This name stands out. This name stands out. And then they're going to say, we better do something. Let's look at this, judge. Let's look at this, because I get elected in too. And if I'm elected in, I better watch, because this one person can lead to 100 more people to put me out of office as they put me in office.
Great point. And I was just thinking about it, how you take care of the credit so that people don't have the time to write to their congressman or something. You do all the work for them. You basically take the initiative on that. It'd be awesome to understand what we can do at Divorce Support Network to take the initiative so that there's a direct link to these congressman offices and things of that nature, so that parents don't have to do all this homework. They can go to one place on the site and get directly linked to the congressman in their state, because it changes and things like that. So instead of having to update the site all the time, you get directly linked to that state and that congressman that represents that particular issue within the governmental laws of divorce support.
So powerful. That's powerful words.
Yes.
Because what you're doing is, what I'm telling you to do is what the loophole is. And what you're telling them to do, we're going to make it easy for you. Why not do it?
Exactly.
Why not change these laws? Why not have the congressman look at things? And let me tell you, you're just one vote. You're one vote, and you say, what's one person going to do? You'd be surprised. One vote could make thousands of people write to their congressman, and that one vote would make the congressman stand up to say, I think I better do something. And then a new law is passed. And this is how laws are passed. That's not, and you say, well, my one vote is not going to count. Wrong. Your one vote will count. How many elected people got in over one vote? Now think about this from last year's, elections. When you think back with the elections, how many people got elected in? So if this is going to change the court system in your hometown, in your city, I'm going to say, you know what? It's all up to you. We can help you. We're the messengers, and we can make things happen, but it's up to you, the people.
One thing I'm going to add to that too is that your voice is so important. I can't begin to tell you how many things I've gone through in my entire career, everything I've ever done, whether it's in the music industry or in the court system with divorce or whatever it is that I've ever done. I've always made a point of making sure that if I saw something that I felt was not within the law structure that I thought was supposed to be there, I've always made sure that the voice, people knew that there was a voice there to say, let's honor this. I mean, whether it's in child support or any part of the industry, there's certain things you become an expert at, things that you become, and you're trying to preserve the integrity of that particular industry or that particular law. If we don't say something about it, we're just allowing things to continue to reoccur. So my response to that is, yes, your vote does count. Your voice does count. Take an active role in participating in that. And if you're exhausted, if you're someone out there that's so tired, and you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, I'm tired. My response is, I know you're tired. I've been there, but get up the next day and keep going, because God's got a great plan for you. And I'm speaking for myself, that you just got to keep moving forward, because they want to exhaust you, and your job is to really just keep moving forward and allow yourself to earn your income on your own, so that you can become a stronger and move forward in your life.
Why did you choose this topic?
This topic, this is one of the most, there's a lot of passionate topics that I have, but I don't like a system that fails to do its job. And I don't like a system where I see children ultimately paying the ultimate price because a system is not doing its job. And and this is really a result of a lot of things. It's not just the court system. We have to point to ourselves as people. Who are we deciding to be with, to create a life with? Who are we deciding to trust in terms of our decisions and having a family with, things of that nature? So there's a lot of things, but we have to talk about these issues, because I've seen women in shelters. Okay. You
said that earlier. You've seen women in shelters that should have gotten child support.
That should have gotten child support. And I see what happens to their self-esteem, and I see what happens to their soul. And, I look at them, and I just want to say to them, they can get themselves back on their feet, to not let what happened in this situation define their destiny, that God defined their destiny. And if they just seek for the answers, maybe they're living in the shelter today, but that does not mean it's forever. It's just one moment in time. But they shouldn't even be in those shelters. There's so many opportunities for them to get back on their feet. But if they don't know the system, if they don't have the right, law protecting them, or the attorneys protecting them, that's exactly what can result for these women and even these men.
We're choosing good topics here for the people out there. And if you had to tell the people now what to do and not to do, what would you say to them?
I think the biggest thing that I would say is that, when you go to the court and you put your hand on that Bible and you say, I swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.
What law is this in?
You go to, that's exactly what happens. You put your hand on that Bible in the court system. I swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And then you start saying, that these things that you're doing, let's say whether you're earning, so many dollars, and maybe you're earning a lot less, but you're saying, I'm saying this is what I earn, and you're lying to everyone, and you think, you're getting away with it. God's ears are always listening, and what you don't even realize is you're actually declaring. It's a decree. You're saying, when you say something and you put your hand on the Bible, you're decreeing it, even though you think you're getting away with it in the courtroom. It's written in that script, in the Bible itself, that what you speak of shall become. So if you keep going to court year after year to say, I have no money, I have no money, I have no money, and you have the money, and God's saying, you just put your hand on that Bible and you just said, I have no money. Well, guess what? Don't be surprised if you wake up the next day and saying, I have no money, because you just decreed it.
So interesting. So good. That was powerful. That was another powerful word there in the speeches from Josie, believe it or not. All these topics are going to be on their workshops, on the seminars, on the tell them about the seminars that they can learn more and more about these that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, well, we always talk about how we were graced, how we met each other. I mean, you were doing credit, I was working, we were doing things in the industry, and then the union of what you were doing and what I was doing with the organization of Divorce Support Network is that people were feeling their credit scores were being affected, but then you were also saying a lot of these people with credit scores have divorce problems. Yeah. They're coming to divorce problems. So this workshop specifically is targeting towards anybody who has a low credit score. They're frustrated. They believe they want to do something now. They don't want to wait anymore. And this workshop is specifically for someone who's either going through a divorce, a job change, maybe they've had a business loss, and they're frustrated, and they're like, oh my goodness, what's happening to my life? I got a low credit score. I've gone through a divorce. Is there any way out? How do I get out? How do I get out of this? And is there a way to get out of it? And our response is, oh my goodness, you're about to be graced with so many nuggets, so much information, and we're going to fill that beautiful mind of yours with information to transform your life. Then you will be able to raise your credit score in 30 days. You will be able to restore your life after divorce or a business loss or a job change. You will be able to restore it. And the workshop goes step by step through every area, from the credit aspect to the personal aspect to the business aspect, so that you're really pinpointing all different aspects of your life and getting down to these core issues and actually taking charge to be able to manifest some really powerful changes.
Great words again. Great words, Josie. This is we've come to again another good portion of another topic of the Guardian Angels, and the Guardian Angels is just what it says. We're here to protect you. We're here to watch over you. We're here to educate you. We're here to give you real facts, real friction right in your living room. You don't have to go so far, and all we want you to do is pass the word around. And gain your rights. And the more you gain your rights, the more you're going to get angry. And the more angry you get, you're going to make it happen through us. And it's going to go through many times and many things. And we can't force you, but we're going to say, we will make a change with your help. Amen. We will make a change. And that's going to happen with Josie and myself. And we're here today again. So we're here at the end of our show as usual. And we're going to say, there's a song out here. It says it like it is. It's all about love. It's sung by Josie. And this is Pearl Pulitzer from Philadelphia.
And Josie Brandon from Arizona.
And this is a topic and a song. This is the theme song of the Guardian Angels. You're going to hear about this every day. Again, see you next week.
See you next week, everybody. God bless.
Look at them dancing as they go across the floor. Twisting and turning and yearning for so much more. And every night you'll find them at the bay, laughing and talking all about yesterday. her head. She smiles and tells him that she's so glad that she's there. And I wanna love like that. I wanna love like that. So don't ever tell me that long love just cannot be found. 'Cause when you look for it, you'll find that it's all